Today I will be talking about sinkholes and their impact on society. When most people think about natural disasters, they usually think of hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, or wildfires. Those disasters often receive the most news coverage because they affect large areas and many people at once. However, there are other natural hazards that can also cause serious damage and sometimes happen with little warning. One of these hazards is sinkholes. Sinkholes may not happen as often as storms or floods, but they can be extremely destructive and dangerous. A sinkhole can damage homes, roads, businesses, and public utilities in just a short amount of time. A sinkhole is a depression or hole in the ground caused by the collapse of the surface layer onto empty spaces below. Some sinkholes are only a few feet wide and may form slowly over time. Others can be hundreds of feet wide and deep, opening suddenly and swallowing roads, vehicles, or buildings. Because sinkholes can appear with little warning, they are an important natural hazard to study. To understand sinkholes, it is important to know how they form. Many sinkholes happen in areas where the rock underground can dissolve when it comes into contact with water. Rocks such as limestone, gypsum, and salt are especially vulnerable to dissolving. Rainwater naturally becomes slightly acidic when it mixes with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and soil. As this water moves through cracks in the ground, it slowly dissolves the rock beneath the surface. Over many years, this process creates underground spaces or cavities. As these underground cavities become larger, the ground above them becomes weaker. Eventually, the surface may no longer be able to support its own weight. When this happens, the ground can sink gradually or collapse suddenly, creating a sinkhole. This process may take years, decades, or even centuries depending on the area and conditions underground. There are three main types of sinkholes. The first type is called a dissolution sinkhole. These form when rock at or near the surface slowly dissolves. They usually develop gradually and may appear as shallow depressions in the ground. They are often less dramatic than other sinkholes, but can still be problematic over time. The second type is called a cover subsidence sinkhole. This happens when loose soil slowly moves downward into spaces underground. The surface sinks little by little, sometimes without people noticing right away. Over time, the depression gets larger. The third type is the most dangerous and is called a cover collapse sinkhole. In this case, the soil above an underground cavity remains stable until it suddenly gives way. When that support is lost, the surface collapses quickly. These sinkholes can happen with little warning and cause major destruction in a matter of seconds. Sinkholes can be triggered or made worse by both natural processes and human activity. Heavy rainfall can increase the amount of water entering the ground and speed up rock dissolution. Flooding can weaken underground support. Drought conditions can also play a role because changing water levels underground may reduce support for the land above. Human activities such as overpumping groundwater, construction, mining, drilling, and leaking water pipes can all increase the risk of sinkholes. Sinkholes occur around the world, but they are especially common in areas known as karst landscapes. Karst is a type of landform caused when soluble rocks dissolve over time. These areas often contain caves, underground drainage systems, and sinkholes. Countries such as China, Mexico, Guatemala, and parts of Europe have karst regions where sinkholes are common. In the United States, sinkholes are found in several states. Florida is one of the most well-known because much of the state sits on limestone. Other states with sinkhole activity include Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, Pennsylvania, and Texas. In these areas, geology and groundwater movement create conditions where sinkholes are more likely to form. Florida is often used as an example because rapid development and changing groundwater levels have increased concern about sinkholes. As more homes, roads, and buildings are constructed, understanding land stability becomes even more important. The impacts of sinkholes on society can be really serious. One major effect is damage to homes and buildings. If a sinkhole forms under a house, the foundation can crack, walls can split, and floors may even become uneven. In severe cases, even, the building may collapse or become unsafe to live in. Roads and highways can also be damaged. A sinkhole opening in a street can create dangerous driving conditions, block traffic, and require expensive repairs. If utilities such as water lines, sewer pipes, gas lines, or electrical systems are affected, the disruption can impact many people. Sinkholes also create financial costs. Repairing damaged property can cost thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars, depending on the size of the event. Insurance coverage may be limited or expensive in high-risk areas. Property value may also decrease if a neighborhood becomes known for sinkhole activity. There are emotional and social impacts as well. Family may need to evacuate their homes with little warning. Losing a home or facing expensive repairs can create stress and uncertainty. Communities may also lose trust in local infrastructure if roads or buildings are repeatedly damaged. One famous example occurred in Seffner, Florida in 2013. A sinkhole opened beneath a house during the night and caused a tragic death to many. This event received national attention and reminded many people that sinkholes are not just small holes in the ground, but they can also be deadly disasters. Another example happened in Guatemala City in 2010, when a massive sinkhole opened in an urban area after heavy rain and infrastructure problems. The sinkhole swallowed buildings and showed how natural conditions, combined with human systems, can create disasters. Even though sinkholes can be dangerous, there are many ways communities can reduce the risk. One important strategy is land surveying and geological testing before construction begins. Engineers can study soil and rock conditions to identify unstable ground. This helps planners avoid building in dangerous locations. Another strategy is managing groundwater carefully. Pumping too much water from underground can lower water tables and weaken support. By monitoring groundwater use, communities can reduce sudden change below the surface. Maintaining infrastructure is also important. Broken water pipes or sewer lines can wash away soil and create underground voids. Repairing leaks can quickly help prevent sinkhole formation. Zoning laws and building codes can also reduce risk. Local governments can limit development in high-risk zones or require stronger foundations and special engineering methods. Public education is another key part of mitigation. People should know warning signs such as cracks in walls, doors that suddenly stick, slopping floors, circular depressions in yards, or unusual ponds of water. Reporting these signs early may prevent injuries. Community resilience means the ability of a community to prepare for hazardous, respond effectively, and recover after. For sinkholes, resilience includes emergency response plans, trained workers, public communication systems, and financial support for recovery. Communities can also create hazard maps that show where sinkholes are more likely. These maps may help residents, builders, and emergency managers make safer decisions. Schools and businesses can also include sinkhole awareness in emergency planning. Technology is improving how scientists study sinkholes. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite data, drones, and mapping tools can help detect underground changes before collapse happens. While prediction is still difficult, these tools can help improve safety. Studying sinkholes also teaches me an important lesson about the connection between humans and the natural environment. The land beneath us may look stable, but underground processes are always happening. Human action is such an overdevelopment or poor water management can increase natural risks. In conclusion, sinkholes are a serious natural hazard that deserve more attention. They form when underground rock dissolves and the surface collapses into empty spaces below. Sinkholes can damage homes, roads, utilities, and entire communities. They may happen slowly or suddenly, making them especially dangerous. However, science and planning can reduce the danger. Through better land surveys, smart construction, groundwater management, public education, and emergency planning, communities can become safer and more resilient. Natural disasters are not limited to storms and earthquakes. Sometimes the ground beneath us can be just as dangerous. Understanding sinkholes helps us protect lives, property, and the future of our community. Thanks for listening.